You ever wonder how your computer actually sees a photo or, how a video game builds its entire world from scratch? Well, it all starts with something called a matrix. Now, that might sound a little intimidating, but trust me, it's really just a simple grid. And this grid, it's the foundation for pretty much our entire digital world. So, let's break it down.
Okay, so let's start with a really simple question. When you look at a photo on your screen, what do you see, right? You see faces, landscapes, all these vibrant colors. But what does the computer see? How in the world does it store all that visual information? Well, it sees something that looks a lot like this. Yeah, just a grid of numbers. Seriously, that's it. Each one of those numbers can represent, say, the brightness or the color of one tiny little dot, a pixel. And this whole grid of numbers, well, you've probably guessed it by now, that is a matrix. So when we talk about matrices, we're really just talking about a digital grid. A simple list organizes data in just one line, right? But a matrix gives us two dimensions. We've got rows and we've got columns. And that structure is absolutely key for representing anything that has some kind of spatial relationship, from the pixels on your screen to the points on a map. All right, so if we're going to put a formal definition on it, here it is. A matrix is just a grid of numbers. That's all. Think about a spreadsheet, a chessboard, or even an old-school pixelated image. It's the go-to structure whenever your data needs to be laid out in a grid like that. Okay, so we know what they are. That's the what. But what about the how? How do we actually make one of these things in our code? How do we build this grid from the ground up?
I mean, you could just sit there and type it all out, number by number, bracket by bracket. But can you imagine doing that for an image with millions of pixels? No way. It would be insanely slow, and just one tiny typo could wreck the whole thing. There's just got to be a better way, right?
So here's the deal. We need shortcuts. We absolutely need fast, reliable ways to generate these grids so we can get on with the fun stuff, the interesting work. And luckily for us, programming gives us some fantastic tools to do exactly that.
Let's start with the two most common shortcuts you're going to use. These are functions that create matrices filled up with either all zeros or all ones. Honestly, these two are the absolute workhorses of creating matrices.
First up, we've got the zeros function. Its job is super simple. You just tell it the size you want, let's say 4 rows and 5 columns, and boom! It instantly gives you a matrix of that exact size, and every single spot is filled with a 0. It's the perfect way to create a blank slate to start working on.
And the code for this, it is beautifully simple. You just call the function zeros, and you tell it the dimensions you want. In this case, 4 rows, 5 columns. That's it. That one little command does all the heavy lifting. And here you can see exactly what that one line of code creates. A perfect 4x5 grid, every single cell is a 0, all ready for you to fill it up with your own data. It's instant and it's flawless every single time.
All right, next up we've got its cousin, the ones function. And as you can probably guess, it works exactly the same way, but it fills the grid with the number 1 instead. This is super useful when you need a starting value for some kind of calculation, like if you're creating a filter and you want it to let everything pass through at the beginning.
And yep, the code is just as clean and simple. You want a 3x3 matrix of ones, you just type ones, parentheses, 3, 3. Done.
And there's our result, a perfect 3x3 grid, all ones. Think about that for a sec. In just a few keystrokes, you've created a really important mathematical object. So let's put them side by side. You use zeros when you need an empty container, like a blank canvas that you're going to fill with data later on. You use ones when you need a starting point for a calculation, maybe like a base multiplier. So you've got two really simple tools, each with its own distinct and super important purpose.
But what if you don't want a grid of all the same number? What if you need something a little more special? Well, there's another type of matrix that is so important, especially in fields like computer graphics and machine learning. And this one has a very unique pattern.
So here's the puzzle for you. What if you don't want a grid that's full of zeros, and you don't want one that's full of ones? What if you need something really specific, like a perfect diagonal line of ones, and then zeros absolutely everywhere else? For that very specific job, we have the I function. It's designed for one beautiful purpose, to create what's called an identity matrix. And it's always a square matrix, and it always has ones running right down the main diagonal, with zeros filling in every other spot. And check this out, the syntax is even simpler. Because it's always a square matrix, you only need to give it one number. So I4 just tells the computer, hey, give me a 4x4 identity matrix, please. That's it.
And voila, there it is, a perfect diagonal of ones. Now this pattern is really special. Why? Because in the world of matrix multiplication, this thing acts just like the number 1. Anything you multiply by it stays exactly the same, which is why we call it the identity matrix. And that property is absolutely essential for things like complex graphics and data transformations.
So we've just seen how to create these fundamental grids in basically no time at all. And yeah, while these are definitely the basic building blocks, they are also the foundation for some of the most exciting fields in all of technology today.
So why should you care about any of this? Well, that zeros matrix we made, that could be the start of a brand new image filter you create. That I matrix, that's fundamental for rotating 3D objects in game development. And these grids of numbers, they are the very heart of machine learning and statistical analysis. I mean, all of these incredibly advanced fields start with the simple grids that we just learned how to build.
You know, the best way to think about this is that you just learned the alphabet of data structures. Learning zeros, ones, and I, that's like learning your A, B, and C's. And now you can start putting them together to write some pretty incredible stories with your code.
So, I'm going to leave you with this thought. You now have the tools. You know how to build the digital grids that our entire modern world is built on top of. So the only real question left is, what future are you going to build on it?